everyone. It's Wanda Bader here from Strategize Your Success, and we are excited today to actually share a lot of great content with you related to burnout. And I'm sure that those of you who are joining us either live or on the replay can relate to burnout, especially with everything that's been going on in our world. COVID, for example. So I'm really happy that Bridget is here to share with us all about her business, how she can help, with these type of topics like burnout. And I'm going to go ahead and have Bridget introduce herself. And Bridget, I'm going to make myself a mini me here to the side so you can go ahead and do your introduction.
Fantastic. Hello and hello, everybody. Happy to be with you today or on the replay. If you have any questions, just let me know. I presented to a Chamber of Commerce in the last couple of years before everybody went virtual. And I started off that particular speech by saying, okay, so who here has never had a problem? And there was a dramatic pause. Yeah. And then everybody giggled because we've all had some sort of a problem. And over these last couple of years, those have been magnified by all the world's going on. COVID is one example, but there have been plenty of other things going on that also apply. So who am I and why am I talking about this? Well, my name is Bridget Richard. I am a licensed independent social worker supervisor in the state of Ohio. I am a psychotherapist with a counseling practice. So I have built that practice from the ground up over the last 7 years. Before that, I was working in all sorts of public social work arenas, if you will. So I've had a lot of experience working with people where they're at and helping them to identify where their barriers and where their strengths are, and how sometimes instead of overcoming a barrier, we can move around it or through it and still keep on going with our lives. Over the last couple of years, I tend to hang around human resources people and teachers and social workers. I don't know why. And nurses. Hello, nurses. And I mean, there's a bunch of other people. Again, I'm part of the Chambers of Commerce and you name it. But all these people were coming to me going, I wish I could package you and take you with me to work. And this was said enough times by enough different people. I was like, well, how do I package myself and take myself to their work? And it turned out that coaching and consulting was the answer. So I developed Bridget Richard Coaching to help people of all stages and in all different types of businesses learn to cope with the ever-evolving field of business and how business is now integrating with our personal lives, both because we're working from home, we are online, because we are not a 9-to-5 society anymore. We're a 24/7 society, and we're an international society, and learning how to not get burned out, learning how to have good self-standards and good boundaries. I always put standards before boundaries. I think we're going to get into that a little today. Is integral to being a happy, healthy person. And when I tried to package myself in a little bitty box, I found out the box was much, much bigger for everything that people needed. And I also found that all the skills that make somebody personally successful, all the communication skills, all the time management skills, all the skills for managing one's emotions and our internal selves, very much one-to-one apply to the business setting. And so if I took all of my psychotherapy background and applied it to the business setting and to how people are managing this personal professional relationship, they got better. So that's what I do, is I try to help people do and be better. Recently, I've given speeches on burnout to a variety of different companies, both online and in person. And that has been a great deal of fun. I love talking to people. I like to say I put the social in social work. And then I follow those speeches up with deep dives, if the employer so wishes, into these various different topics that we talk about, such as burnout response and recognition, Not necessarily time management, because everybody has a different kind of calendar, but how you utilize that calendar, like task balancing so that you're not burned out. Because it doesn't matter how your calendar is organized. If you have 100 high pressure projects between work and home, you're going to burn out. If you plan it out over the course of several months and you balance those tasks, low energy tasks with high energy tasks, or tasks that require your physical presence with tasks that do not require your physical presence, you're going to be happier, healthier, and more engaged. So that's just kind of an overall example of the things that I talk about and I do deep dives into when I am working with business clients.
Great. Well, nowadays, I am sure that people are really needing your service, probably 1,000 times amplified than ever before, because we are all just so stressed out. Some of us hide it. I'm a good
Mm-hmm.
person at hiding stress, and some people wear it on their sleeve. Some people give you that body language that you know that they're like, okay, I can tell something's going on with you today. What's going on? How are you feeling? Now, do you recommend that we do something like that? Obviously, um, people don't have the training that you have in order to help people out, but just saying, hey, I recognize, something's going on with you today. Is that a good thing to do, or should we just kind of ignore it and not point it out to them?
No, don't ignore. Please don't ignore. Um, One of the biggest pieces of advice I can give people is, one, say something. Hi, you're looking a little, under the weather today, or whatever it is. Um, and then ask the question, do you want my help? Do you want my advice? Can I help you? Because sometimes we just want somebody to acknowledge, yeah, you're looking tired, so you can say, yep, I'm feeling it all right. But it's laborious to go into all the details of what might be bringing us down. We just want somebody to give us that grace to know that, yeah, they're under it today. So we're just going to give them a little bit of space. And there are other times where, yeah, you want to go get a cup of coffee and they want to tell us everything that's happened in the last 2 weeks. Both are perfectly appropriate responses. So we're not going for what is the response to that question. All we're going for is asking the question, because that lets people know that there's somebody there to support them, even if they're not ready to talk about it yet.
Okay. Well, and you and I were talking earlier, and you said that there are red flags, like universal red flags. Tell our audience a little bit about what you mean by that.
Oh boy, oh are there? And it's funny because I've been doing this long enough. I recognize them in myself, and then I have to give myself a giggle because I know that I'm throwing up those flags, whether people are trained to see them or not. And so I have to go that extra step to let people know, hey, I'm taking, Friday off. Why? Because I need to. Um, and I'm okay with doing that. One of the best parts about my job, and yes, I will answer your question, is that I have been teaching these skills for so long that my toolbox is very much just as needed. It just is a little bit more robust than other people's toolboxes because this is what I do for a living. Now ask me to fix your computer, and we got a whole other problem. I do not have the tools for that. I fully admit it. So what are the red flags? Well, if you're saying, you know what, I wonder if I need help, that is the biggest red flag. It really is, because it is so much easier to get the help that you need and to take a different path or to take care of things that are going terribly wrong before they get out of control. In my psychotherapy life, people come in when they're in crisis. Okay. Why? Because they didn't want to have to ask for help. And they did not ask for help until they felt like it was out of their control. Right.
Mhm.
And I have been as guilty of that as everybody else. Like, no, I can handle it. I can handle it. You can't handle it. And that's okay. It's a learning curve. So we're learning our own cues, right? And so we're like, wow, I should have handled that 3 steps ago. the trick is to learn from that and go, oh, I've been here before and I see where this goes, so I probably should ask for help at this point. But if you're saying, I wonder if I need help with this, it is an excellent time to get help in a planful way, okay? Because at that point, you can delegate, you can ask for help from a supervisor, you can ask for help from a mentor. You could have a call on somebody from NABO. We're both part of NABO, a National Association of Women Business Owners. There's plenty of people to reach out to when you're still in control of the situation. And it helps deepen your relationships with those people. Contrary to, it doesn't show any weakness on your part. None whatsoever. People are flattered when you ask them for help. And you're showing that you value those people when you ask them for help and you value that area of expertise. So when you have that first thing that pops up in your head and says, wow, I wonder if I'm in over my head, the answer is yes, you are. That's why you have that little red flag. And now is the time to expand your network by pulling in the people who could most help you with this so it doesn't turn into a crisis. And those people will learn who you are as a person. They will learn who you are as a worker of whatever thing that you do, whether it be social media marketing or pharmaceutical sales or whatever the case may be. And you will find out, one, what their posted talents are. We all have our posted talents. We all put them all over LinkedIn with our lists and all the letters after our names, right? But they'll also find out what some of your hidden talents are that maybe you use every day, but you don't consider special and other people do. And they will call on you for those hidden talents. Or they will learn about some of your hidden talents and they will call on you for that. So by responding to the do I need help and actually getting it, you are showing good leadership, you are showing good management, you are showing healthy boundaries and standards. So that is the biggest red flag. Some of the other more crisis-oriented red flags would be needing more mental health days. You know, if you just took a week off, you get back to work. Okay, the first day back to work is always rough. We all know this. But, at the end of the week, you're like, I need another week off. You probably are starting to burn out. If you are starting to cut corners and you don't value the end result as much and you're like, this will just get it done. I need to get off my desk. I need to get it done. And you're cutting corners. That is a red flag. If you find that you're starting to arrive to work late or you're missing days or your lunches are getting longer, that's an avoidance. And avoidance is a red flag for everything. We avoid all sorts of unfamiliar and unpleasant stimuli, right?
Right. Procrastination starts seeping in, right?
Oh, without a doubt. I procrastinate on working out all the time, and I definitely need to. We all do, right? What other things go in? It gets worse from there. If you notice yourself drinking more, if you notice yourself sleeping more, if you notice yourself sleeping less, right?
Or eating more, right? It's
Oh my goodness, self-soothing with food.
Let's get the ice cream out or the chocolate to kind of
build
put a
up those
Band-Aid on how we're
endorphins
feeling.
Yep. All those things are red flags. And the thing with burnout is that it builds. It actually starts out as stress management, okay? And then it turns into chronic stress where you're stressed out all the time, but it's still only stress because you don't have involuntary responses to it. They're more voluntary. You're like, I know this is bad for me, but I've had a day, right? When you get it to burnout, things start becoming involuntary. You don't even remember why. The one-to-one correlation between this stresses me out and therefore I'm doing this starts to blur. And that's when it seeps into both sides of your life. So that would be another big red flag is if work is seeping into home and, talking about work as making the home life rough, or if home is seeping into work and you're like, I'm getting 6 calls a day and I can't get my job done. You're burning out.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm going to take a pause for a second, and I know some people are joining us live. I just want to say that if there's any questions that you have of Bridget, please let us know because she has such a wealth of information to share with you about burnout, about stress, anything related to psychotherapy, basically, because that's what she does. But please take advantage of that and give us a shout out and say hello in the chat so that we can see that you're there, because I know that we're live streaming to multiple platforms and we would love to engage with you as well. So, Bridget, when it comes to, you had mentioned before the difference between time management, task management. Can you give us a little more information about that, dive a little deeper?
Oh, yes, absolutely. For our business people, everybody knows in the business, on the business, right? And so we talk about those things, and it's a very difficult distinction to make. Time management and task management are related similarly, right? Everybody wants these new calendars, and I now see calendars improve your time, efficiency 15% more by allowing us to, and it's basically drag and dropping various different tasks. Okay, so that you can pack more in. Please don't do that. Don't pack more in. I have seen schedules with time blocking. I have seen subject blocking. I have seen, color coding, various different online schedules, you name it. And many of these tools are helpful, but they're only one piece of the puzzle. And so time management goes into many different subcategories if you're doing it right. Okay. And if you find that you're overwhelmed all the time, which I have gone through periods of, I have 2 kids, I have a house and cat and, a business and everything else. So there have been times where I'm a little overwhelmed. There's a good chance that your task management and your people management is not where it needs to be. And again, these are showing leadership skills. So it's not about putting more on your calendar. We all know about delegate, do, or I forgot the word, but basically trash it, right? That is one facet, but that goes along with the calendar and along with task management, right? So if you have your calendar and you have all these different meetings, and meetings are just 90% of the time not a good thing. In my humble opinion. I do have the cup that says this meeting should have been an email. So, I mean, there's connecting with people, but they tend to go longer and be a little less focused. So again, task management, if you're going to have a meeting to talk about this, have an agenda, stick to the agenda so that people can get to what they need to get to, even if it's home. Then your task management, if you are, let's say, redoing your kitchen at home, okay, even if you're not actively involved, that is a high stress activity. Why? Because your entire home life is disrupted. The bowls aren't where they need to be. You don't have an oven. You're ordering out every day. There's trouble there, right? If you are moving, right, that is another high energy thing. You have to be packing boxes. You need to be calling people. You need to organize the movers with the realtors, with the whomevers, right? Maybe with a decorator or a painter or something like that. There's always multiple things that are moving. So you're handling multiple things with that large project. If you're doing a large project at home, you should not be doing a large project at work at the same time. Because you're using up all of your mental energy for that one project. You have nothing left to do a large project at work. And so you may want to plan, okay, well, if I'm going to redo the kitchen, but year end is in July, I should probably think about redoing the kitchen in April. So it is done for year end so that I am not ready to explode by the time September rolls around. Because you need that respite. And sometimes work can be a respite. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. I love work being a respite. I was so happy to be actually physically in the office the last couple of weeks. I can't even tell you. It was a new thing, and I was seeing people in person, and it was wonderful. And there's no problem with home. I love home, but it was just nice to be in that new environment. So I gave myself the leeway for that, right? And actually, I had one person hug me. She's like, I see you in person. This is great. So there's an emotional connection there as well. But I had less done at home. And so I was not managing things. My husband chipped in with some of the cooking, and I used the online delivery service for the groceries. So I didn't have to be so many different places because I was returning back to the office more. I've always been in and out of the office, but more frequently. And so I knew I needed to take a step back at home in order to manage that. Right? Conversely, if you know that you're rolling out a new product at work, and there's going to be multiple stages involved. One, take your vacation immediately before that so you're rested and recharged and ready to handle it. Okay. Don't let your vacation time go to waste. Task management. Do not think that you are so valuable that people can't deal without you for a week. If they can't, you need a different dynamic going. And I know people I can call, whether it be me or somebody who handles that kind of thing more specifically. I got friends. We need to get in there because you should be able to leave for a week or even two and have people who can fill in enough that the world does not fall in. Okay. So take your vacation time. But you take your vacation time, you to get that done, and you get that done before the kids go back to school, or maybe a month after that, October, November sweet spot where there's not a whole lot going on. You know what I'm talking about? All you have to do is buy a Halloween costume and you're good for those people who are parents like myself. And you roll out the product then so that you have the mental bandwidth and you're not in transition at home. So that's that task balancing. Along with that, there is the delegation. Okay. So if you are in the middle of a large project and a second one comes up and it's just inevitable and they clash and you're like, why? Why is the world doing this to me? That's perfectly fine. Then get into, okay, well, who can I pull in? Again, you're developing relationships. There is no sign of weakness. It's not poor planning. It's developing relationships. Who can I honor by bringing them in to help me with these projects or help me with this area while I focus on that area? That way things are not falling through the cracks. You lose when things fall through the cracks. When you're juggling too much and the balls drop, you don't lose by bringing people in and admitting, I'm in over my head.
And entrepreneurs can keep this in mind as well. Just because you don't have maybe an immediate staff that you can pull in to help you out, it's like, services like virtual assistants, marketing services like what we do. It's like there's a lot of people that you need to introduce yourself to so that when you do need them, you can pull them in when you're feeling the overwhelm, like you're launching a product, like you said before,
right?
Or something like that.
Absolutely. And the word fractional has become very big over the last couple of years. So there are fractional HR and fractional COOs and CEOs and you name it. There's always somebody who, you don't have to go all in and pay somebody $100,000 a year to get help.
Right. Now, would you say that burnout is mental and physical, or it can be either or? How would you describe it?
Oh, it's both.
Yeah.
Hands down, I'll tell you right now, it's both. And I dare say, find somebody who's going to disagree with me. Stress can be mental or physical because we're still in that part of the continuum, if you will. Maybe we have a health concern that we're working on. Maybe we have a family member who is struggling in some fashion and we're stressed about it, right? But that can be physical, that can be emotional, it can be mental, but there's, again, you can tie it back to something. And that ability to tie it back to something makes it more manageable because it's not me, there is something that I am working on or working through that needs to be handled. And so we're not internalizing it, at least not 100%, right?
Right.
When you get to the point of burnout, it is absolutely physical, emotional, and mental all at the same time, which is why burnout is so insidious. You've lost the connection to, I've been stressed out so long that I don't even know I'm stressed out. I just know everything's bad. You can gain weight. That's what happens to me. I'll just tell you that right off the rip. You remember that emotional eating thing? Yeah, I can get into that. It also elevates all the cortisol levels and the negative neurotransmitters, the hormones, and all those associated with stress. So you have your adrenaline, you have your cortisol, you have a bunch that I probably don't even know the name of. But those all are, and there's studies. Go to the National Institute of Health, type in burnout, and they'll give you all the different things that go wrong in your body. It can cause heart problems. It can cause, you can have insomnia. You can be sleeping more. It can cause anxiety and depression, and not look like anxiety or depression. I'm talking cause actual clinical anxiety and depression. And then once you're in that, it's very difficult to get out without assistance because you're so down deep that you remember the person you once were, but you don't know how to get back there. And another pro tip is you don't get back there. You evolve because you've been through something traumatic enough that it's affected you physically, emotionally, and mentally. And you will learn to either restart some of the old coping skills that make you feel like a person. Yeah, absolutely. Or you learn some new ones, or you add to your toolbox. That's ideal. Again, big toolboxes are a good thing. But at that point, you are a new person because you've been through something. So we're never trying to get back to something. We're always acknowledging the fact that as human beings, we are growing and evolving based on our circumstances. And that's a good thing. We can still be a whole, happy, healthy person after we've moved through something that traumatic. So yeah, absolutely. That is a whole body challenge.
So in your helping people through this stress and the burnout and all the things that you specialize in helping people cope with, why, besides COVID, what other things are you seeing that people are experiencing that leads to this? You said scheduling, overtasking yourself is definitely one of them. Can you think of some other things to share with the audience?
Oh, without a doubt. I think there's a lot of unrealistic expectations that are out there. We have it of us. We have other people have it of
Superwoman
us.
syndrome?
Right, absolutely. Or Superman. There are plenty of people who will pass down their lack of health onto us. Okay. And it's not necessarily insidious. They're not doing it 100% on purpose. They're passing down these tasks and these unrealistic expectations. But it's because, well, you have to do this. Why? Because nobody else will do this. So therefore you have to do this. And they're not taking into consideration, and or you are not taking into consideration what you are actually able to manage. And we have a tendency, because of everything. We're a global society. We have many different cultures that we are involved with. We have many different people who have very realistic point of views, but maybe mutually exclusive to ours in one way or another, as far as like time management goes. There are some very there are cultures that are very rigid with time. There are cultures that are very lax with time. And when those clash, it can become a challenge. So understanding that your priorities are not necessarily somebody else's priorities. And so if you're prioritizing home and they are prioritizing, maximum effort with maximum results, this may not be a good match. So the other thing that we have a tendency to do, which is going to cause burnout, is not to relent. Okay. So you're in a job, you want to maintain the job, you don't want to be a job hopper, you like the field that you're in, but you are in a toxic company who will use every resource and say, pull yourself by your bootstraps. You're lucky you have a job. And some other things that I have heard throughout my years, people have come in with. And we don't understand that we can quit that relationship. We're bullheaded. We are bullheaded people. We're like, no, I want you to see my point, but I want you to see I am hurting, or that what you're asking is unrealistic. And, if I leave, I'm disappointing all these people around me because I'm carrying so much on my shoulders. I can't leave. They need me. And what we are doing is we are validating this very unhealthy relationship, whatever it is, by putting everything on your shoulders and by not moving on, by not accepting that this is not the best place for you and your talents, and that maybe somebody else with a different point of view, a different value set, a different life circumstance could perform better, because then we take that as our own failure. And it's not a failure. It is a recognition that where you are is not good for you. And even if you like the people around, it is affecting you and your life. And it is seeping outside of work and making you feel less validated, less energetic, depressed or anxious, whatever the case may be. And understanding you don't have to carry the world on your shoulders. It is not a failure. Likewise, somebody else's success in that position may not be your failure. You can succeed outside of that, and maybe that's just their purview.
Yeah.
And it's
It has to
fine.
be a good fit, right?
It has to be a good fit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it is absolutely fine to accept that sometimes we are just not in a good position for being our best self, whether it be in a relationship or a friendship or a work situation or a neighborhood. You thought you wanted to live in the burbs. It turns out you're an urbanite. Great. You figured it out. Go get yourself that loft. There is no one ideal, but I think that through television and through radio and through any media, not just social media, all media,
Mhm.
there are things, polarization sells. And polarization could be, this is what a family looks like. Polarization could be, this is what a successful person looks like. Polarization could be, this is what a successful age looks like. And we start to adopt those ideals because, well, everybody thinks that. No, it's on television. It doesn't mean everybody thinks that. It just means it's being broadcasted. But when we start comparing ourselves to others, we think that there is only one way to do things when there's really 100. And so that also can contribute to burnout because we become very single focused. Instead of having this very panoramic view of the world, we are looking at it through a telescope and not seeing the possibilities for us that could make us very happy and engaged in a better way.
Yeah. Imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
That's what it's like. I hear those words all the time
Hmm.
from people that, like somebody will go, I can never live stream. Sure, you could. You just have to get over that self doubt that somebody put into your head or you put into your head that you can't do it. Everything can be done if you really want to do it, right?
Absolutely. And it
I
won't
mean, there
look
might be
like the
some
live
physical
streams.
things.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
But I think it also to know that it won't look like the live streams that other people are doing because you're going to put your own twist on it. And
Yeah, and
that's
you have to
okay.
be authentic, right? You have to
Yes,
have your personality shine through because my personality is going to be totally different from the next person.
without a
Some
doubt.
people are just very animated and very bubbly, and they're kind of like you can feel them bouncing in their chair, and then there are other people who are very subdued, and everybody will reach their ideal audience that they're meant to be in front of.
There are
And
7 billion plus people on the planet. You
yeah,
have your people.
your tribe is out there. Your tribe is out there, no matter what it is that you're trying to do. And I know that we've been talking for 32 minutes, and I want to honor your time and our audience's time. I don't see any questions that have come across right now, but if you are catching us on the replay and you have any questions that you would like to ask of Bridget, please put it in to the comment section, and I'll make sure that Bridget gets those questions and gets back to you to answer them. And, thank you so much, Bridget, for sharing your expertise, your time, your knowledge, all the things that you bring to the table here. I mean, I love your voice, I love your energy and humor, and I'm sure our audience does as well. And for
Thank you. Thank
those
you
of
very much.
you who would like to stay connected and hear about when people like Bridget are coming on the show, you can just text Market Coach to 22828 and get our updates. We'll let you know what the shows are. We do these every Monday at 2 p.m. And that's Mountain Standard Time, Arizona time. I know we're getting ready to do another cycle of the change. Arizona never changes. Everybody else rotates around us, it seems like. So that would be 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time as of next week, just to make it a little simpler. So again, thank you so much. And if you all would like to reach out to Bridget, please go to her website at bridgetrichard.com. And what I would suggest also is if you are in a business or work for somebody who has a business and you think that your company could benefit with all of the expertise that Bridget brings to the table, please let them know and have them watch this video.
Absolutely. Everybody should watch the video.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. And for those again on the replay, if you have a question, let us know. If you're watching this live and you want to circle back and ask the question, we'd love to see those comments. So thank you. Have a wonderful day, everybody. And we will be ending the show now.